Hi Professor, my name is Vikram Sharma. Today I am making the video for my presentation part. So I will define the racial, ethnic and minority groups. So I will talk about 11 from the chapter 11, 11.1 and from 11.2. So I will gonna speak about what the different I will explain the concepts of race, ethnicity, minority group, and understand the concept of racialization and racialized groups, and stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination, and review the historical example of residential schools as an example of institutional racism. So theories of race and ethnicity, I will talk about positivist, critical, interpretive perspectives approach issues of race and ethnicity. So what is minority groups? So like I will explain minority group and race. The idea of race refers to super physical differences like skin color that a particular society considers significant, and ethnicity is a term that describes shared culture, and a minority group is a subordinate or lacking power in society regardless of a skin color or culture of origin. So subaltern groups are minority that have difficulty expressing an identity outside of definitions imposed on them by a dominant or a colonial culture. So what is a race? So historically the concept of race has changed across cultures and eras, eventually becoming less connected with ancestral and familial ties and more concerned with superphysical physical characteristics. In the origins of race science, theorists posited categories of race based on various geographic regions, ethnicities, skin colors, facial structures, and more. So a common notion is the five race theory that can be tracked back to the early race of science of John, who was born in 1752 and died in 1850. So he suggested that humans were one species could be categorized into five racial categories: African, European, Asian, Oceanic, and Native American. Native American. So however, this typology of race developed during early racial science has fallen into the disuse in sociology and racialization. The social construction of a race is a far more useful way for understanding racial categories. Races are complex social cultural entities, and so it speaks to geographical ancestry. And so BIPSO is the contemporary acronym, stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color. So it is an inclusive term that describes the shared experience of visible minorities as equity seeking groups facing similar practices of racial discrimination. It is not without controversy, however, while marking a distinction between black and indigenous experiences and other peoples of color to acknowledge their different historical backgrounds. As with the term visible minorities, there is also the danger of lumping all racialized groups in a category together rather than seeing the distinct issues they face. So I will talk about the divisions between races are doubtlessly blurred, but it does necessarily mean that race is a myth, a mere social construct and a biologically meaningless. As with race related questions, the answer is multidimensional and may well depend on whom one asks. And so what is ethnicity? Ethnicity is a term that describes the shared cultural heritage the distinct practices, beliefs, and way of life of a group. This includes shared origins, geographical locations, languages, religions, and traditions, among other all commonalities. Ethnic identity is the positive attitude and attachment an individual or a group forms with an ethnicity based on their perception of a common ancestry and uh, shared culture and characteristic and experiences. And so, like the history of Ukrainians in Canada is a case in a point. The first wave of Ukrainian migration to the Canadian parishes from parts of the Ukraine controlled by Austrian Empire took place between 18s and 19s. And so, what is minority group? So, minority groups as any group of people uh, who because of their physical or cultural characteristics are singled out from the others in the society which they live for differential and unequal treatment. And minority groups are also those kind of groups like who were discriminated in the past or like who are still get discriminated according to their color of skin, like their according to their height or like or any other physical their character, like yeah, and like color, their hair, like yeah, that's all. So the term minority connotes discrimination, and it in its sociological use the term subordinate can be used as interchangeably with the term minority, while the term dominant is often substituted for the group that is in the majority. This definition can relate to the concept to that the, relate to the concept that the dominant group is that group which holds the most power in a society, while subordinate groups are those who lack power compared to the dominant group. So, according to Charles and Marvin Harris, a minority group is different by 5 characteristics, like unequal treatment and less power over the lives, and difference of physical or cultural traits like skin color or language, involuntary membership in the group, awareness of subordination, high rate of in group marriage. So subaltern groups, which have become the focus of research in post-colonial subaltern societies, are group defined by are defined by cultural subordination to the degree they have no identity expect that which they can derive from the fact for their subordination. Now I will talk about Professor stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination. So the term stereotype, prejudice, discrimination, and racism are often used interchangeably in everyday conversation. But when discussing these forms from a sociological perspective, it is important to define them. Stereotypes are oversimplified ideas about groups of people. Prejudice refers to negative thoughts and feelings about those groups. Discrimination refers to the negative actions toward them. Racism is a type of prejudice that involves set beliefs about a specific racial group. Stereotypes are oversimplified ideas about groups of people in the sense that they are based on a rigid generalization which do not bear up under critical scenario. And prejudice and racism, prejudice refers to the negative beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and attitudes that someone holds about a group. It is a personal, like their, but we can say like it is their personal thoughts or attitude or attitude often shared collectively. So racism is a type of prejudice used to justify the belief that one racial category is somehow superior or inferior from or to the others. So discrimination, So like it can be defined as a discrimination can be based on a race, religion, health and other indicators, but when it is based on stereotypes about race or ethnicity, it can be defined as a racism or an ethnocentrism respectfully. And discrimination based on race or ethnicity can take many forms. An example of racial discrimination is a racial steering, in which state agents direct prospective homeowners toward or away from neighborhoods based on their race. Overt discrimination has long been a part of Canadian history. So yeah, there is a one also type of institutional racism. Discrimination also manifests in different ways. The illustrations like are examples of individual discrimination, but other types also exist here. So institutional discrimination is also called as institutional racism, is when a societal institution when a like we can see when so this was all the thing, professor, which I have this is all the things for my presentation part. My name is Vikram Sharma and my student ID is 2326762. Thank you.